The James Webb Space Telescope spotted a large object about 10 light-years away moving toward Earth. The posts claimed that the telescope captured the object, changing its trajectory. For months, scientists thought 3I Atlas was harmless. A visitor from deep space just passing by, but the data didn't stay harmless for long. In 2025, James Webb's latest observations revealed the object is no ordinary comet. It's accelerating, adjusting, and now heading straight for Mars. This could be impact, or it could be something even bigger. Join us as we explore why 3 Atlas has every astronomer on edge and why this moment may change how we see our place in the cosmos. From harmless visitor to threat. But how did we get here? To understand why scientists are so alarmed, we have to go back to the very beginning. When 3 Atlas was first discovered, when astronomers first noticed 3 Atlas, it was just a faint speck slipping into our solar system from deep space. They told us not to worry. At most, it would be a beautiful sight, racing past Mars before disappearing forever into the dark. It looked ordinary at first. Fast, yes, but nothing unusual. It was clocked at nearly 54 meters per second, quick enough to travel the distance between Earth and the Moon in barely over an hour. Speed alone isn't strange for interstellar visitors, and scientists have tracked these kinds of objects before. What caught their eye, though, was what happened next. Most comets slow down as they approach the inner solar system. Their frozen surfaces heat up, break apart, and leave glowing trails of dust and gas. They lose energy. They shed mass. But 3I Atlas refused to follow the rules. Instead of slowing, it began to pick up speed subtly at first, then more consistently. And rather than drifting along a wide natural curve, its path began to tighten. That was the moment things shifted. Telescopes around the world locked onto the object, trying to figure out what was driving this strange movement. Then James Webb, the most powerful telescope we've ever built, took a closer look. Its instruments revealed that the light surrounding 3 Atlas wasn't just growing brighter because of heat or sunlight. Something inside it was releasing energy in a way scientists had never seen before. Normally, a comet's halo is chaotic, a messy cloud of gas and ice exploding in random bursts. But this was different. The halo around 3 Atlas flared evenly, almost rhythmically, like it was being controlled. To many observers, it stopped looking like nature at work and started looking like intention. The timing of the changes raised even more questions. If this were only a piece of frozen rock, it should have followed its first path with only minor wobbles from gravity. Instead, the numbers coming from Webb told a new story. The object was adjusting itself, not drifting, steering. The idea was hard to accept. After all, space is filled with countless comets and asteroids, most of them harmless and predictable. But the more data came in, the harder it was to call this just another comet. Even the smallest corrections in its course suggested direction, as if each movement was part of a plan. For months, experts had promised there was nothing to fear. Now, those same voices were growing quieter. Something about 3I Atlas didn't fit into the categories we've used for centuries. It wasn't slowing. It wasn't breaking apart. It wasn't behaving like any comet ever recorded. And while no one was ready to call it anything more than a mystery, the possibility could no longer be ignored. An object from beyond our solar system had entered our neighborhood. It was brightening, accelerating, and adjusting its path straight toward Mars. Mars as more than a victim. When the possibility of impact became real, the first fear was obvious. Destruction. If 3I Atlas slammed into Mars, the blast would be staggering. With its mass and velocity, the collision would unleash millions of megatons of energy. So much power that the surface would tear apart, leaving a crater wider than most cities on Earth. The shock wouldn't stop there. Dust and debris would launch into orbit, scattering across Mars like shrapnel. Satellites circling the planet could be struck. Rovers would be buried. And decades of delicate instruments could be wiped away in a single moment. Billions of dollars in exploration. Thousands of hours of human effort gone. But not everyone focused on destruction. Some scientists started asking a different kind of question. What if the point wasn't to erase Mars, but to use it? Mars has always been more than just a dry, dusty planet. For years, evidence has shown that liquid water once flowed across its surface. Signs point to lakes, rivers, and even salty oceans in the distant past. Today, beneath the frozen crust, there may still be pockets of liquid water. Underground reservoirs waiting quietly. These places are exactly where life, even microbial, might still exist. That's why rovers like Curiosity and Perseverance were sent there, not to just take pictures of rocks, but to look for chemical traces of life, past or present. If microbes survived deep underground, they could be older than any form of life on Earth. Now, with 3I Atlas bearing down, the idea shifted. Instead of a simple strike, what if the object was bringing something with it? Something designed to meet those hidden reservoirs. James Webb and other instruments had already detected strange molecules in the object's trail. They weren't random dust. They looked like engineered chains, the kind we might compare to building blocks of life. Some biologists began to whisper about synthetic biology, a term used when life or lifelike material is designed rather than grown naturally. The thought was chilling. What if 3I Atlas was carrying instructions, not weapons? What if it wasn't about blowing Mars apart, but about planting something in its soil, its ice, or its atmosphere? If that were true, then Mars wasn't a victim. It was a test bed, an incubator, a place where seeds could be planted and conditions could be changed. The more the idea spread, the more questions arose. Was this about creating life where none exists? Or waking up something that has been asleep beneath the surface for millions of years? If Mars already had dormant microbes, the impact's heat and shock waves could release them into the open. If 3I Atlas added foreign material to that mix, the result would be something entirely new. Part Martian, part foreign, part designed. This wasn't science fiction anymore. It was a real possibility. Some called it reverse panspermia. Instead of life spreading from Mars outward, as some theories suggest, life could be arriving from space and taking root inside Mars. And if that was true, then humanity might be watching not a disaster, but the beginning of an experiment, a controlled event, as if someone or something chose Mars for a purpose.